another installment of Video Game Battle with me, Zookstar, where I take two games, compare them with each other, and at the end decide which game is the superior game, whether they have similarities to each other, or just comparing an original game to its sequel. So without question, let's bring out tonight's competitors! Crash Bandicoot Warped vs Spyro Year of the Dragon. That's right, it's time to conclude comparing the Crash and Spyro PS1 games. And here we have two games in the series that have been considered by the best among fans. And you know what? I can't disagree whatsoever. Every change and improvement that was made in Crash 2 and Spyro 2, Crash 3 and Spyro 3 brought them back and extended it in the most badass way possible. This is where Crash and Spyro took the competition of being the PlayStation's #1 franchise, and these two games are two of the best games for the PlayStation 1, and are also my favourites. So instead of talking about how awesome these games are, let's compare and contrast to see which game is better, in my opinion. They will be compared in the following categories: story and characters, designs, music, boss battles, and finally, gameplay. So without question, let's start the final battle of the Crash and Spyro PS1 games. Let's start with story and characters. Crash 3's story takes place right after Crash took down the Cortex Vortex in Crash 2, which falls down to Earth and crashes into a tropical island. This releases Uka Uka, Aku Aku's evil twin brother. He then confronts Cortex for failing him again. With the help of Dr. Entropy, the Master of Time, Uka Uka and Cortex build a time twister machine to help them travel through time and collect all the crystals and gems. Meanwhile, Aku Aku, who senses Uka Uka's return, orders Crash and Coco to get inside the time twister and retrieve all the crystals and gems before Cortex and Uka Uka do. Spyro 3's story involves Spyro, Hunter, and the dragon sleeping peacefully in the artisan worlds with unhatched dragon eggs, when all of a sudden a rabbit girl named Bianca pops out from one of the holes from the Forgotten Realms and steals all of the dragon eggs with her army of Rhinox and takes them to the sorceress, who scatters them all around the Forgotten Realms. Now it is up to Spyro, Sparks, and Hunter and to recover all the dragon eggs and defeat the sorceress once and for all. Now for the characters. Crash 3 brings back characters from Crash 2 like Coco, Tiny Tiger, and Dr. Engine. The new characters introduced in the game are Dingo Dial, who is a creature half crocodile, half dingo, that's ingenious by the way, Dr. Entropy, the Master of Time, and of course, Uka Uka. Spyro 3 also brings back characters from Spyro 2 like Hunter and Moneybags, and brings new characters like Spyro's new friends, who can be playable characters during the game, the Sorceress, and Bianca. Crash 3's characters, to be honest, don't have that much personality except for the bosses in Uka Uka. Spyro 3, on the other hand, heavily focused more on the character development and story, especially with Bianca. I also find it cute how Hunter and Bianca become love interests to each other. So overall, it's kind of obvious which game has better story and characters. Yep, I'm definitely going to go with Spyro 3. Whilst the characters in Crash 3 were more funnier and less cutesy, Spyro 3's characters are more memorable and more lovable than Crash 3's in my opinion, so Spyro 3 wins here. Now on to designs. I know I criticised Crash 2 for having repetitive level designs, but now in Crash 3 there are no more jungle or river themed levels. Every level in the game is anything based on different time periods, like the medieval times, Arabian Nights, prehistoric boneyards, the future, and many other wacky time travel levels. There is even other different types of levels like underwater levels, a level where you can run on the Great Wall of China, and tropical islands to name a few. Spyro 3 still has fantasy and fairy tale levels from the last two games, however not much has changed in the designs in Spyro 3 because they look like they were recycled from Spyro 2, whereas Crash 3 introduces a lot of new levels that feel different from its prequels. So you should know by now that Crash 3 takes the cake. Spyro 3 does have more creativity in its levels than its prequels, but Crash 3 has more refreshing environments than Spyro 3 and Crash 1 and 2 combined. One thing I have to ask is that why the heck do every time I play the Arabian levels in Crash 3, I always think of Disney's Aladdin? Whatever, moving on. Now for music. Like the designs, Crash 3's music is very different from its predecessors. Personally, I like Crash 2's music just a little bit better, but Crash 3's music is still as memorable as it was before and catchy. Spyro 3's music? Well, just like Crash 3, I prefer the music in Spyro 2, but Spyro 3 still brings creative and catchy tunes that still remain a joy to listen to. This one's got me stumped, but I know I've done this for the third time, but I'm still gonna give the music category for Spyro 3. Why? No other Crash Bandicoot song can pwn the epicness of Fireworks Factory. On to boss battles. Well, to tell you the truth, not much has changed in the bosses in Crash 3 and Spyro 3. Crash 3 still has you fighting Looney Tunes-like characters, except for Dr. Entropy and Dr. Engine. Spyro 3 still has you fighting giant creepy monsters in an arena battle-like place just like in Spyro 2. But if I had to choose which game has better boss fights, I'm gonna say Crash 3. Why? Well, sure, Spyro 3's bosses were more threatening and imitating, but Crash 3's bosses were more memorable than any other Crash game out there. Plus, I like the final boss battle with Dr. Cortex and Uka Uka more than the final boss battle with the Sorceress. I don't know about you, but using turrets and a flying sorcerer instead of fire breathing and charging in Spyro 3 is kind of a dud for a boss battle. Crash 3's bosses were a little easy, I will admit, but giving Coco her own boss battle with Dr. Engine was a really neat idea, so Crash 3 definitely wins back the boss battle category. And now we come to the final category, gameplay. Beginning with Crash 3. Crash 3 still has the same formula as Crash 2. You still have the ability to crawl, slide, body slam and long jump, and collecting crystals still remains as the main objective of the game, and smashing boxes to get a gem. However, one new addition to the series is the time trial mode, in which you hit a golden clock, a timer will start and you have to get to the end of the level as fast as you can. The boxes in the mode have numbers on them, and breaking one of them will freeze the clock for a few seconds. If you're able to get a good enough time, you obtain the new collectibles in the game, time relics. Not only that, every time you defeat a boss, Crash gains a new ability. These abilities include double jump, super body slam, super spin, sprinting, and my personal favourite, shooting Wumpa Fruit out of a bazooka. Crash can now swim underwater in water levels, ride a motorcycle in 1950s races, and a biplane too. And for the first time, Crash's sister Coco is now a playable character. Her gameplay includes riding a tiger cub along the Great Wall of China, water skiing in pirate levels, and she can also use a biplane too. I don't have that much complaints with the game as I did with the last two games, but there were some things in the game I didn't like much. For example, the swimming underwater levels can become tedious as you progress through the game. These aren't the worst underwater levels I played in the platformer, but not my favourites at all. But my least favourite levels in the game have to be the motorcycle levels. Yes, I know, I keep on ranting on how much I hate racing levels in platformers, and while these levels are my most hated racing levels in a platformer, I just hate the controls for them. When you boost up your speed, you can't turn whatsoever and you have to wait till you go back to normal speed. This can cause a problem like falling into these pits. Another little issue I have is that beating the levels normally is too easy. However, when it comes to getting all the gems and time relics, it really becomes a challenging game. Other than that though, I have little negatives with this game than I did with the last two Crash games. Now for Spyro 3. You still have the same abilities from Spyro 2 like climbing, head bashing, and of course swimming underwater. And there are a lot more underwater areas in Spyro 3 this time than they were in Spyro 2. Spyro 3 still has the job of collecting gems that are either scattered around the ground or in different kinds of chests. Spyro 3's new collectibles are now dragon eggs, which can be obtained by helping out the creatures in the Forgotten Realms, finding them in hidden spots, or completing a side mission in a level. And every time you get an egg, the egg will give you the name of the baby dragon, and that dragon will hatch and show off their talent. The side missions are much more challenging challenging and non-repetitive than Spyro 2. My favourite side missions of the game are of course the skateboarding levels. God, these levels never get old for me. Other side missions I liked were the battling the Chinese dragons in Fireworks Factory and battling a robot version of Jaws in Seashell Shore. Plus, just like Crash 3, Spyro 3 also has playable characters once you have freed them from moneybags. There's Sheila the kangaroo, who can jump high and kick solid obstacles, Sergeant Bird, who can fly for a limited time, shoot rockets and pick up objects to activate doors, Bentley, who is the strongest but slowest of the bunch, Agent 9, who has the platforming / shooting gameplay, and even Sparks becomes a playable character too. Speaking of which, after you've completed a level with Sparks, Sparks can gain a new ability to help you through the game, like finding hidden gems and warping to another level using the Atlas. After you've helped out a creature of the world with its problems, it will then go back to the hub world to build you some transportation to get you to the next hub world. You should already know that I'm one of the few people who love Spyro 3 the best. The one thing I disliked about Spyro 3 was the fairy tale level, Charmed Ridge. Other than that, this is one of my favourite platformers to date. And so, my final decision on which game do I like better, it's gonna be... Yup, you guessed it, Spyro Year the Dragon is in my opinion a little bit better than Crash Bandicoot Warped. I have my reasons. Everything I said in my review of Spyro 3 justifies why I adore this game to death. The variety of challenging and non-repetitive missions, characters to play as, huge levels to explore, tons of stuff to collect, lovable and unforgettable characters, and so much more I wish I could talk about. Don't get me wrong, Crash Bandicoot Warped is also one of my favourite platformers, and it deserves to be called the best Crash game, but I just prefer the non-linear challenge and entertainment that Spyro 3 offered. I hope everyone can respect my opinion at this point, and this concludes the battle of the PS1 Crash and Spyro games, and another issue of Video Game Battle. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below, and I'll see yous all in the next video.